The second tab of this workbook is the Array Formulas tab. I'll do Control Page down to move to the Array Formulas tab. This data set is slightly different. It has region, product, date, quantity, unit price, and unit cost. I remember when I learned about Array Formulas, back at my day job, I had a vice president of marketing who sat 2 doors down from me. Now that's a dangerous combination. You have a vice president using Excel and a person from marketing using Excel. And he came down to me and he said, hey, look, I have 5,000 rows of this data. I have quantity and unit price. I need one formula that will multiply all of those and sum them up. Well, being versed in Excel, I was ready to go over to column G, enter a new formula in G2 that would multiply quantity times unit price, copy that all the way down, and add the sum. And he stopped me. He said, no. You're adding 5,000 formulas. I want one single formula. You have to understand at this point, I'm already Mr. Excel. I've been running MrExcel.com for a while. I looked at the vice president and said, there's really no way to do that. Well, from the other direction, 2 cubes down, kind of like a gopher popping his head up over the cue ball, fellow says, hey, there's a way to do that. And he proceeded to write this formula. Take a look at this formula. I'm going to choose cell E48 and hit F2 to edit. He wrote a formula that said we're going to take the sum of the rectangular range D2 to D46 and multiply that range by the rectangular range E2 to E46. Now, if you've been using Excel for any time at all, you know that that formula is completely invalid. I looked at this fellow and said, you're crazy. There's no way that'll work. And I reached across the keyboard and I hit the Enter key. And sure enough, we get the value error. It's not a valid formula. But here's the secret. Excel has a whole separate kind of formula called array formulas. These are secret super formulas that actually can do the 45 multiplications and total them up. If, as in this case, we had 5,000 rows of data, it could do the 5,000 multiplications and add them up. Now that we're in Excel 2007, it could do the 1.1 million calculations and add them up, but you have to know the secret. Let me go back up and select this original formula. I'm going to hit F2 to put it back in edit mode. So we're taking the sum of this rectangular range times this rectangular range. The secret, in order to have Excel understand that this is a super formula, is to hold down 3 keys. You have to hold down the Control key, the Shift key, and then finally hit the Enter key. Control, Shift, Enter tells Excel that we've created a super formula, an array formula. And you'll notice that in the formula bar, Excel has put curly braces around the formula to tell us that it's an array formula. These are incredibly powerful formulas, and most people have no clue that they're there. Now, the one gotcha that I have to warn you about is that this formula is very memory intensive. It's great here where I have 1 or 2 or 10 or 12 of them. I once tried to build a spreadsheet where I had 5,000 of these formulas, each one taking 50,000 rows of data. If I hadn't turned the computer off, it would still be calculating to this day. So they're great in moderation. The thing you have to be careful of is you don't want to have hundreds of thousands of these. They will take forever to calculate. Find some other way to solve the problem. Excel calls these array formulas. Array formulas bring back horrible memories of algebra or some calculus, things that I just don't want to think of. So I rename these formulas as CSE formulas. It's a CSE formula, Control, Shift, Enter formula. The name of the formula, CSE, helps me remember that I have to hold down Control and Shift and Enter. Very powerful kind of formula. Well, let's scroll down and take a look at the formula in cell B51. This is a special kind of array or CSE formula that will do the same thing as the SUMIF. Now here we have a special situation where we don't have a revenue field, so SUMIF wouldn't even work. In this case, it takes a look at everything in column A and sees if it's equal to East. If that's true, it then multiplies it by the quantity in column D times the unit price in column E and totals the whole thing up. Again, you have to hold down Control, Shift, Enter to accept that formula. This is a great way basically to do a SUMIF. It was only one condition, but we had to do an additional calculation. Let's scroll down again. Well, now we have our dreaded situation where we have 2 conditions. Let's see if we can solve this with an array formula. I'll select this formula and hit F2. We'll take a look at what we have. Now there's 4 terms in the sum command. We're looking at the regions in column A to see if they're equal to East in A59. We're looking at the quantity in column D. We're looking at the unit price in column E. And now finally multiplying that by the products in column B to see if they're equal to ABC and B58. When I accept this formula, I have to use Control, Shift, Enter, and sure enough, it does the calculation. Now here is a very maddening gotcha when you're working with these array formulas. Normally, we would select this cell, copy, select the 9 cells and paste, but when we try and do that, Excel won't let us get away with it. I'll choose the original cell and copy, select the 9 cells and paste, and we get this message, you cannot change part of an array. Very frustrating. What does that mean? It means that we need to copy the formula down to the 2 blank cells in B60 and B61, Then finally, we can select those 3 cells and copy over to C59 and D59. I'll hit enter to dismiss this error. I'll go back up to my original cell, Control C to copy, select the 2 cells underneath, and Control V to paste. Now I'm allowed to select the 3 cells, Control C to copy, and I can select the 6 cells. Notice these cells are all blank, and Control V to paste. It's very frustrating. I have to take this array formula and copy it in 2 paste commands instead of a single paste command. This is what we used to have to do in Excel 2003, and unfortunately, it's what you're going to have to do if you have to share your workbook with someone who's still using Excel 2003. Now, I can hear the Excel gurus out there. You're already open to email, and you're firing off the note to me saying, hey, Bill, you could have used SumProduct to solve this. I agree. The array formula and SumProduct, both very obscure ways to handle this problem in Excel 2003. If you're comfortable with SumProduct, please feel free to continue to use it. They both work.